Thank you all very much for joining us today for our first Business Optics webinar of 2023. Came a little later in the year, but we're so happy to put this together for you. So many of you have asked us over the course of time to bring back webinars. We used to do this a long time ago, and we kind of let them dwindle for a little while, and then so many of you have asked for them to come back. So here we are, and we're so excited to bring them back to you and bring back our webinar series. We plan to host these a few times throughout the course of the year going forward. But for today, we're going to show you process transformation tools in BusinessOptix. I'm super excited to show you this because I think this is actually a very powerful little mechanism that we have inside of BusinessOptix itself. So just a couple of housekeeping items. First and foremost, we've got a Q&A capability on the Zoom controls. If you have questions today, feel free to send those off into the Q&A section. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second, but I just want to point that out. We're going to keep this, since there's so many of you that are joining, it wouldn't do it justice to open up the floor for a live Q&A. We probably would never get through the session in the amount of time that we have. So we do have a Q&A section there as well. The thing with process transformation in BusinessOptix, for some of you, this may be old information. You may have used it already. Maybe you're currently using it in your mapping and modeling. And for some of you that are on this call, this may be brand new. You've never seen or used the process transformation tools that are in BusinessOptix. I know when I was a former customer of BusinessOptix, I used to use them all the time. I felt it was a very powerful way to get my message across on change, and then also some of the kind of cool features that you can do to show both current and future state, and then ultimately make it all current state at the end. So this process transformation that I'm going to show you, some of it may be old information that you're aware of, some of it may be a refresher, and for some of you it may be brand new. So I'm excited to show you that today. Again, Q&A session is for your questions. We're going to be rounding those up. My esteemed colleague Mala is also on the call. Many of you have run into Mala or had chats with her, or even live sessions with her in the past. Mala's in charge of our customer onboarding. She handles a lot of our support, a lot of strategy work with our customers. So she's going to be monitoring the Q&A today, and we'll be taking your questions and then putting them together at the end for us to be able to put them out and post them online for you all to see. Also, too, we are recording this session, so you'll be able to get a link on this and review it back at your leisure. A couple of other things I want to point out too. The things I'm going to talk to you about today is that information is also in our BusinessOptix Academy. If you haven't already signed up for the Academy, please do so. It's free. It is a separate sort of portal, if you will. So you do have to create your own user profile. Super easy. First name, last name, your work email. And you can come and go in that Academy and look at those modules as you wish. We have video, we have text, we have images. There's sort of multiple ways that you can look at different things inside of BusinessOptix Academy. And then the last thing I'll point out is we always have the capability for you to send us a help desk ticket. So if after today you're looking through this, you're reading through the material, you've watched the recording, and maybe you still have a question, feel free to send us a help desk ticket. Myself, Mala, our colleague Nick, and many of us inside of BusinessOptix, we monitor those tickets, and we'll get back to you right away. We're happy to, and including if we need to even jump on a call with you, as many of you know, we're happy to show you the tools again. So let's get on with it, shall we? So what is process transformation? So I'm going to show you guys today how to model BusinessOptix process transformation. I'm going to show you sort of some of the benefits of doing it that way and some of the tools that go with it. I'm also going to show you how to use the outputs of process transformation today. And then last thing I'm going to show you guys is kind of when you're done doing all of this, what does it mean? We're going to put it into a quick dashboard, and I'll show you how you can use process transformation in sort of a table or report or a dashboard, so you can kind of see the impacts of change as well. So what is process transformation? First and foremost, it's the ability to sort of create that future state design alongside your current state design. So when you model your future state and your current state together in BusinessOptix, we can create a really cool visual to show you the differences of those two aspects of change, not just the differences in your flow map, but also the differences in your metrics if you happen to be modeling those as well. Another thing that you can do with process transformation, and many of you do this today, you show your process owners or your stakeholders or your subject matter experts your process current state. Well, when you're trying to design that future state, this allows you to put that sort of future state alongside that as is map and allow your stakeholders or your process owners to quickly toggle back and forth to see what those changes look like. So you can easily show them the differences. You can show them the context and the talk track that goes with that as well. You know, back in the days before we had really cool tools like BusinessOptix, you know, oftentimes we'd have to create two separate maps, right? We'd put one on a single tab and then a future state on another tab. And then you had to sort of somehow arrange all that good context and material either in another piece of software or on a label or something. And it sort of lost its luster, so to speak. So in BusinessOptix, you can do that all in the same model file, which is really quite cool. Now, when you are capturing high-level metrics, cost, revenue, those types of things that are associated with your current state, you can then model that transformation change, the same metrics in the future state. And when you do that and you use some of the tools that we have available, you can put a side-by-side view of current and future state to see what those differences are and see if that change is actually going to be materially positive for you, or if in fact maybe this is not the route that you want to go with your future state of your process. And then finally, we do have some really interesting tools in BusinessOptix that allow you to manage this change. I know some of you probably already use the workflows, but maybe you've never seen that we actually have a single button click that allows you to take that future state map and turn it into your new version, your new current state. So instead of having to redraw everything and remodel everything, you can be doing your current and future state in the transformation tools, and then with a single button click, allow yourself to go over and actually create that new current state. All right, so let's show you BusinessOptix transformation tools. Process flow, you've seen process flows in BusinessOptix, right? And when you're looking at them, you're wondering, well, how am I going to create that future state? In BusinessOptix, you don't have to go and create a separate map or a separate flow for doing this. Some of you do, and that's perfectly fine. But the process transformation tools that we have built in allow you to take this same map here and actually apply changes to it and create or begin to create that future state change. So in order to do this, a lot of times what I like to do is get into a changes view. The first thing I'm going to do is go up into my menu and click on view, and I'm going to make sure that I'm in changes view. If I go back to current state, this is what it looks like today. But if I go to changes view, this allows me to sort of look at what I'm making changes to at the same time, so I can see what I'm actually affecting in my model. And when I do that, I simply go through each component and go to the transformation tab of that component. Let me drop that out of the way. And I can actually apply the changes to each component. So as you see here in this background check activity, I've got this set to modify, and then I'm going to change this from currently it's a user task. So if I look up in my activity current today, it's a user task, but in the future state, I'm actually going to be doing some sort of an automated feature. So maybe we're going to automate the background checks. And in fact, in this case, we're actually going to use a new system. We're going to use Workday, for instance. I go through my entire map and I apply those changes, including, as you see here, if I wanted to actually get rid of an activity out of my flow, I just simply select it as a drop and it will remove that activity. Go through the entire flow. Maybe in this case, we don't even need to install a desk anymore, right? In a new hire process, we simply get rid of the desks. Maybe some of you are working hybrid now or not, or still working remote. So we don't need to install the desk in this process anymore. As I do this, I'm actually creating a new flow. And what that looks like, if I go back up to my view and I click on future state, you can see now that I've got a completely new flow, different provisioning steps and modifications to my current steps that I've indicated. So now you want to see what this probably looks like in the output. This is the part that you would then share with your stakeholders and subject matter experts. So I click on output and click on view HTML. This takes me to that basic output view that we're so common within BusinessOptix, and you can obviously share this with your process owners. As you all know, you can share this URL by simply clicking on actions and go to share this model. You can do that also from the author menu. Let me show you a cool thing if you haven't seen this before on the filter that allows you to toggle back and forth between current and future state. And you can share this with your process owners so that they can see this as well. So if I click on changes now, I can actually see those changes that I've made to this map. And I can put this future state in this way. So process transformation is actually in everyone's library. You all have this and you have it on every stencil. It doesn't have to be a process. It could be a diagram. It could be another type of model that you're building. Those transformation capabilities are available on everything that we model in BusinessOptix. You can create a current and a future state of everything that you build. The nice thing is all that documentation that you would have had to do before, the sort of the old method, it's all nicely documented for you. So now you have all of your process transformation available to you. The transformation information is with each activity, and you can share this with your stakeholders as well. So that's a very basic transformation. And I used to use this all the time. It was really powerful to be able to see visually the differences between current and future state in my maps and share that sort of journey, if you will, of what change looks like in an organization. Now I'm going to walk you back through this and we're going to apply a little bit of metrics to this. And I'm going to show you another cool calculator tool that we've got inside of BusinessOptix that allows you to see a side-by-side view of those metrics and sort of measure the metrics as well. And also in the end, we're going to show you how you can build a business case out of this. So what if you could model in things like cost of change and put this over a period of, say, 5 years and see, is my investment in change going to be worth the output, the cost savings, revenue information, that sort of thing with my map? And will I actually see a positive result in that? So I'm going to go ahead and go back into the actions and edit. I'm going to open this up. And very quickly and easily, I can show you where you can actually put all of this information. So first and foremost, as many of you know, we have metrics at a lot of different layers inside of BusinessOptix. So if I stick with the diagram layer, the top layer, the entire process view, you'll notice that I do have a transformation tray over here, and I've also got a metrics tray. This is where I can add in things like my volume. I can add in just different breakdowns and things. And for those of you who are actually using simulation tools, this is where you can apply some simulation metrics as well. Additionally, I can go into the transformation area and I can actually say, look, today we do things, I've got 200 new hires a year, but we're looking to maybe ramp up. And so now we're going to have 500 new hires a year. So I can actually put that in transformation as well. I could put a percentage of growth if I wanted to do that. This is where I could actually add in that cost of change. So when you think about cost of change, you kind of have to think of it in a holistic view to say, okay, we're going to apply a new system. In this case, we got Workday that I got to get some licenses for or whatever. I'm also going to be maybe bringing in a consulting team to help with some of the new hire process or the procurement, or maybe we're actually getting different phones now because we're going to get rid of the old desk phones. So there's some total costs of change, and I can actually put that here. This is where I can also put the information in on how long of a window do I want to look at for that return on investment. So that business case I was telling you about a bit ago. I'm going to leave this at 5 years. That's usually a nice round number to sort of view investments and change. Sometimes things happen quick. Sometimes things take a little bit longer. Within 5 years, you should be able to make a process change across an organization. But in this case, what we're going to do is see if in time that 5 years, we actually do realize a positive investment. Now, the rest I'm going to do is I'm going to go into each activity or each component inside of my flow, primarily with the activities, and actually do the differences in the metrics as well. So as you remember, at this point in my activity, I have this as a user task. And currently today, that user task takes roughly 2 hours to complete with about a 1-day wait. But in transformation, that's going to stay the same. Now, when we get to background checks, currently today, background checks take a little bit longer. So they take about 4 hours to complete, but because we have, 1 day on the approval plus a wait time, we've got two days of wait that's in there. In the new system, we're going to be able to do this in an hour, possibly even less. So I'm going to go ahead and model that as an hour difference in change and transformation, and obviously showing this as an automated task. When I go into this model as well, and I'm looking at this from the changes view, in my old map, I had things that I was dropping out of that. So I was getting rid of providing hardware, getting rid of installing the desk, those types of things. When it comes to change and using these sort of metrics, today, if something takes an hour and I'm getting rid of it, well, that's an hour savings. Or if it takes a day and I'm getting rid of it, that's a day savings. Same thing with cost. If I've got something that costs me $1,000 to complete, or £1,000 to complete, and I've got FTE measured with that, if I drop that out of my flow, that's going to be a cost savings as well. So just by simply adding this as a drop, I'm going to have a future state savings there as well. So I go through my entire flow, do those types of metric differences where I go from the current state under the metrics tab to the future state under transformation, make my assumptions here. And now I'm set up. If I hit save at this point, now I've got a future state map that's not only a difference in flow, but I've also got a difference in my metrics, in my cost savings, in my cost metrics. So now I can actually turn on some really cool tools. Let me show you this. So in output, every library has this. If you pull this little drop-down menu in the View HTML and go to the Process Transformation HTML. This is a calculator tool that's actually going to do that same thing that we did in the basic transformation, where I'm going to show you the current and future state, but I'm also going to give you some kind of a metric results. I'm going to give you several tables, I guess, if you will, of changes, differences between current and future. And then I'm going to give you a really cool ROI chart that goes with this as well. So here's that map, as you can all see, and I can toggle back and forth and see what the different changes are. This is just like what we had in that previous map that I was showing you. But now the difference, what if I click on cumulative costs? So here we go. So I've got a graph here that's showing you that over the course of this flow in the future state, I'm actually going to get a cost savings from my current state. Some of this was because we dropped those activities off, and some of it was, let's say in the case of workday, we're going to realize a shorter work time, so that's going to be a cost savings as well. So over the course of this history of this process flow from beginning to end, I'm actually going to get a little bit of a cost savings. And what is the breakdown? So I can actually go through each activity here and see the differences between current and future. I can do that with my cycle times. I can do it with revenue. I can do it with my costs, my activities, work times. I can really see a side-by-side difference of what's going on with that process. In the end, I can also give you a complete roll-up of all of your metrics, which this is pretty nice, right? So in the old methods, we would have to model something out in a flow, and then we'd put something like this into Excel, right? So now in BusinessOptix, because you're entering all of that data into those metric areas of your process flow, we can then go back and pull some reports effectively. And in this case, we actually have these reports pre-built, and it's part of this calculator output that we have, process transformation. So I can show you the wait times, work times, cumulative times, revenue, costs, anything that I'm actually making changes to in my flow map. I can give you that current versus future state view and bring it all to you in this fashion. Another thing that we can do then is we can export this in this upper right corner. I can export this as a PDF. And then finally, I want to show you this. This is that return on investment graph that I was talking about, that business case. If we're trying to build this for our leadership team, right? They want to know that the changes you're making to the process flow, is the information that you're talking about, the changes that you're suggesting, are they A, going to make a difference, and B, there's a certain group in the organization that want to know that, is the investment going to make a difference? Are we actually going to see a positive result in these changes? Because if we're not, chances are the changes aren't going to go well in your processes. So it's one thing to actually go and make a faster flow, but if that faster flow results in a net negative return on investment, it ain't going to happen. And in fact, you're probably not going to do well going forward. So this allows you to see what those differences would look like, and then put a little bit of a business case scenario to this to say, look, in 5 years, am I going to realize a positive net result? And in this case, in our map, we are. So in a little less than a year, 11 months, I should start to recover my investment from that $250,000. And then going forward, because I'm actually getting rid of some activities, seeing a positive change in my costs, going forward, I should actually see a net gain in the revenue towards this as well. So that is the metrics and business case scenario that we can put with process transformation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out and show you one more thing that goes with this, and that is the dashboard. So every library has the ability to do dashboards and reporting. And sometimes you want to see what this information might actually do from an impact perspective. Or in fact, maybe you're trying to build a project around some of these changes. Now, in BusinessOptix, you don't have to do process transformation just once. You can do it on all your maps, right? So if I had a whole bunch of different flows and different processes that I'm doing changes and transformation to, I can pull this information into a dashboard that sort of shows me today, here's my current state. And then if I were to do some transformation changes, what am I keeping in my organization? What am I going to be modifying? And what am I flat just going to drop as activities? This can be really powerful and really impactful information to individuals who are also involved with change management inside of BusinessOptix. So if they wanted to go out and say, all right, well, we got like 4 or 5 different processes, key processes that we're making changes to. I need to start thinking about this from a human resources perspective. What are those things that we're modifying, and what are we modifying about this? This may be your journey towards changing your SOPs. This could be assisting those individuals who are going to be putting new documentation together for your procedure guides. This is the information that they can get that from. When you're making your process transformation changes, there's a little notes section in the transformation area that allows you to capture those notes, capture those details, and put that information in there. You can even put some different references, even attach different guides and things to that. So you can really give those individuals a lot of good detail and information to go along with the process flow on what the changes are going to be, how to make those changes, how to maybe set people up for success for those changes. Change management is a really difficult thing in every organization. So the more you can feed it, the more you can give information and really expose a lot of the details that are going to be happening, the better success you'll have for change, obviously, over time. So these dashboards allow us to really go back and find all that information that we've modeled in our process flows and get back to, okay, what are we going to change? What's going to be going forward? What are we going to be modifying? Or in fact, what are we even going to be dropping? So I could even select multiple types of things that I'm doing here and sort of roll them all up at once. In this dashboard too, we can also export this via Excel. So if you needed to share this outside of BusinessOptix, you could do that as well. So the final thing I want to show you, I'm going to go back to this process map again. The last thing is sort of that final bit of change management. So now what you've done, you've gone through, you've modeled all of your processes, you've actually created a business case, and now you've got individuals in the organization who are ready to approve this and review it. As you guys know, in BusinessOptix, we have a thing called workflow. So if I were to take this out and actually send this off for a formal review and approval, I can do the same map with the changes off to a workflow. So I could actually send this off to my approval, review workflow, or if in fact I'm not doing workflow, but I just want to show the stakeholders what the new version of this map is, I can simply go out and put a new version on this. I can add a new version to version 1.0. So I could actually make this 1.0. And this will be my new approved version. I can put a lot of great detail for my stakeholders here. Once I'm done, I can simply hit save and then select this as a publish to stakeholders. And now my new workflow or my new process flow will become the new current state. And before I do that, remember that button I was telling you guys about earlier that allows you to take that current state and future state and sort of collapse them together and become the new current state? Well, in Actions, if you click on this little button called Transform, many of you probably just glanced right over it and didn't even realize it was there. When I click this button, it's going to turn my future state into my new current state. So let me just show you this really quick. So right now I'm in future state. Here's my current state. So I can show you I got 2 different versions. Here's my changes. Now, when I click on Actions and click on Transform, watch what happens. Do you see that color change? So now I've got a new current state. And to prove that, if I go up in here, you'll notice I'm in Changes view. There are no Changes view showing. It's just all current state. So there's not even future state because I haven't made any new changes to it. So there you go. In one button click, I've gone from 2 different maps back down to 1. If I save this with my new version, hit save. All right. Now I'm on version 1.0. This is my new version. And if I now send this off to stakeholders, voila, how many minutes was that? Maybe a minute. I've gone from a current state flow, I created a business case scenario for you. We could send this off for change, or if in fact I just want to now publish the new future state, one button click, add the version, hit save, send a workflow to publish to stakeholders, and you guys are off to your morning break and you've already made process changes in BusinessOptix. So pretty cool stuff, right? So I'm hoping that you guys will take this away, maybe use a little bit of it. Um, a good tip for you: don't feel like you have to do it all. In fact, if you go back to the very beginning and I showed you just how to do basic transformation without all the metrics, without all the detail, just do the visuals. The visuals are really impactful, highly impactful. Allow you to see the differences between current and future state, share that information out in your organization. You can obviously put the talk track with it. I was mentioning earlier, the notes. Capture as many notes as you can, add the details, put some context with this so that those people who are looking at this information later can understand what the changes are. I think this is a very impactful little bit of tooling that we have in BusinessOptix. It was one of the first things that I really jumped on when I was a customer of BusinessOptix at the time. It was really fun to use because I think the more people started to see what changes were and if they were going to be impacted by those changes, they started to buy in a little bit quicker. And now, obviously, I'm showing you guys a very simplistic process flow, but realistically we have bigger complex flows, right? And so sometimes getting people to see and understand those changes can be a really challenging thing. In BusinessOptix, being able to visualize these things as well as obviously showing you the metric changes in that, it can be really impactful. So I'm hoping you guys seen or learned a little bit today. Hopefully turned you on to a few new things. For those of you who this is a refresher, hopefully now you can go back in and maybe use a few more tools. One thing this does too, I know some of you have probably heard about our simulation and some of those types of capabilities in here. To get to simulation, obviously you have to have some metrics and you have to have a good flow sort of built. This sort of gets you set up for simulation. So in fact, from here, I could take this map and run the output and actually run to the simulation and probably get some good results out of that because I've actually got metrics modeled here as well. So hopefully this was good for you and you learned a little bit about BusinessOptix. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up on the screen and we will go to the final result here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Thank you all for joining. This is our first webinar out. We were super excited about it. Hopefully some of you have learned some new things. We are planning to do this again in the future. There you go. Planning to do this again in the future. Some of you, if you want to give us some feedback, that's great. We're always interested in feedback, as you know. Put some things into the Q&A. Obviously, drop some more questions in there. We're happy to answer all of those types of things. And I would look in probably the next few weeks, we'll probably be broadcasting when our next webinar will be. Super excited to continue these for you guys. And thank you all again for being customers of BusinessOptix. We really appreciate it. And we are so happy you've been able to join us. So thank you all. Appreciate it.